coming right there.
All right, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Tactical Rifleman. So we got a shooting technique to show you this week that's based off of how we teach one-man room clearing, okay, one-man CQB. And so what we're gonna be talking about is shooting from a compressed position with a pistol. With a rifle, it doesn't work the same in this situation, okay? What we mean by shooting from compressed, let me show you a second that I'll show Sue, I have a clear gun, okay? So I'm gonna be pointing my gun up range. All right, I'm not talking about shooting from here. I'm not talking about shooting from here. That's not helpful to me in this situation. I want to have my sights acquired when I shoot. So it's important that when you take a shot, if at all possible, you're taking that shot looking through your sights, okay? Whether you're focused on your front sight or if your physiological effects take over and you can't really bring your focal plane back to your sights, you're still getting a kind of blurry image of your sights and you can get adequate sight alignment, right? Acceptable sight alignment. So when you're doing one-man room clearing, it's not like the dynamic stuff that we're talking about where you bust into the room quickly and every person takes their corner and takes their point of domination. We can do that when we have a team. If you're not playing with a team, then that's probably gonna get you killed, all right? You guys are welcome to go back in our archive and check out our one-man room clearing video that we did a couple years ago, and that explains the techniques here. This is kind of a follow-up. What we're doing is I'm trying to show, with the help of my good friend Sue LaRue, we're gonna show you guys the teaching points of how to shoot, the actual shooting teaching points of how to accomplish that on the range here. The whole idea here is, typically, I don't want to crowd my cover, right? It's usually a bad idea to crowd my cover for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm closer to the door than I want to be, and that means that I'm closer to a potential opponent or a bad guy or whatever that can come up and grab my gun or surprise me or whatever, right? So ideally, yeah, so ideally I want to be away from the door. The problem is, why do we do CQB? We do CQB and we learn how to do it because we have to go through this door. We have to learn how to maneuver through and around obstacles, okay? And that's essentially the definition of CQB. So tactically moving through an environment that is rich with all kinds of what I call FUAs, fucked up angles, okay? So I'm gonna have to get close to the door. When I teach people this in the beginning, I always teach to when I teach pieing, I teach to glue your muzzle to the corner to learn the dynamics. And then it's very easy later on, once you get the dynamics of pieing around that corner, it's easy to disconnect that gun from that corner and keep working your angles, okay? Now, in order for me to fit through this door, right, if I come up to this door and I start pieing, okay, I'm pieing, but I'm trying to keep my shooting triangle, right? My arms here to my gun and my chest are an isosceles triangle. So if I try to keep that triangle, I have a good, steady shooting platform. The problem is, even if I want to stay on this side of the door, the problem is I can't go through this door now without breaking this gun down out of position and then taking that step. And I don't want to be in that position where I put my gun down or whatever, right? I want to keep that gun up so I can take a faster shot. So what we're doing, and what I'm coining the CQB compressed position here, is when I come up to this door, okay, as every step of the way, you're gonna see that my elbows collapse a little bit, okay? They collapse, and what that's gonna enable me to do is step through that door. Notice my foot is not inside the door, right? I place my foot and I can pie 180 degrees down this wall without physically putting my foot in that door. All right? So at any step of the way, at any point here during the pieing, I can take a good, quick, accurate shot. All right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Sue here and we're gonna show you how we do this in terms of a range drill to learn the mechanics of shooting, okay? So let's do this. Sue, let's go live. Let's go hot. All right, so here's the deal. So essentially what Sue is gonna do is Sue is just gonna be shooting right here. His stance is gonna be 100% his normal stance, just how you would shoot on a square range. Okay, the only difference is going to be that we're going to start simulating just with your upper body, with your hands, essentially your arms. We're going to be simulating the pieing. So we'll start as if you're pieing what I call a zig left, right? So you're going around the left-hand side of the door. And so what that means is your right elbow is going to be all the way compressed the whole time. Your left elbow, you can let it be wherever's comfortable, right? Whatever position, even if all the way up here is more comfortable for you, that's fine. No big deal. All right, so there's two main points here. One is that elbow, right? The elbow that's going inside of that room, that elbow's got to be tucked in tight. And two is those wrists on both hands have to be stiffened, because what's happening is as I collapse that shooting frame, I get a different angle on these wrists, and it's a little bit more difficult to manage that recoil. And by consciously stiffening the wrists on both my hands, I'm going to be able to manage that recoil much better. All right, so you're already locked and loaded, so let's go ahead and deploy, and just go ahead and go to full extension, line up your sights, and go ahead and prep the trigger and give me a couple of shots. Perfect. So now stay right there. I want you looking through your sights, okay? Good sight alignment. Yep, this elbow is going to stay in, and I want you to just move the gun back a couple of inches right there and give me a couple of shots. Remember, wrists are stiffened. Okay, and be very gentle with that trigger, because we're not in that same solid position that we're used to. Okay, so prep it and give me a couple of shots. Nice. Okay, good. Finger off the trigger, move it back a couple of inches. You still want to be looking through your sights. Let this elbow be relaxed where it needs to. This one is all the way tucked in, and you see how Sue is scrunching in this shoulder. He's making this whole side of his body more concealable. Okay, couple of shots. Nice, finger off, and we're going to move back a couple inches. This is where people start getting a little bit nervous, because they feel like that slide's going to hit them, but obviously Sue's got plenty of room, and we're going to keep it moving back. Couple of shots, Sue. Nice. You see how Sue is able to keep these wrists incredibly stiff, which means that if you're looking at the gun, I'll have him shoot a couple more rounds here in a second. That gun is not bouncing much. All right, go ahead and give me a couple. That gun is not only not bouncing much, but it's returning back to perfect sight alignment. All right, let's compress a couple more inches. You can go a little bit more, a little bit more. There you go. Give me a couple of shots. Nice. Same thing in reverse. Now we're going to go back out a couple inches and a couple of shots. Good. Couple more. Couple of shots. Change mags. Just don't step yet, because we're doing a different drill. And full extension, full out, all the way out. Give me a shot. Good. Back in. Couple inches, take a shot. Couple inches, take a shot. Couple inches, take a shot. All the way in, all the way in, all the way in. Right there, take a shot. Nice, safe and holster. Excellent. So guys, Sue makes this look easy, but understand that Sue's been doing this shit for a long time, right? This may be a bit of a different thing than how Sue usually works it, but his fundamentals are solid, and so it looks easy, right? Once you get the hang of it, you get that decent trigger pull, you get that good sight alignment, you get how to stiffen the wrists, everything's going to be smooth, okay? So now we were practicing as if that was a zig left. All right, let's practice a zig right. We're gonna do the exact same thing. The only thing that's gonna change is which elbow has to be down. So now your left elbow is gonna have to be down, okay? So let's do the same thing. Couple of shots from full extension. Okay, and now remember, it's your left elbow that's down and your left shoulder that's gonna scrunch up. Your right elbow, if you want, can come up to wherever's comfortable. Couple of shots. Collapse a little more, couple inches, couple of shots, couple more inches, couple of shots. Very nice, and back out. There you go, take a couple of shots, 1, 2. There we go. All right, safe and holster. Nice. From there, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start working the doorway, okay? All right, so here's what we're doing, right? Sue is actually going to be pieing this door on the left side of the doorway, okay? And at first, we'll just make sure his feet are set up correctly and his body position is set up correctly, right? Go ahead and deploy your weapon, put your ears on. All right, we're doing this hot. So what's gonna happen is right now, Sue is gonna be fully extended as if he's shooting. Okay, what you'll notice is, Sue, go ahead and line your sights up like you're actually aiming. Yeah, there you go. So he's not gonna be pieing from this position the entire way. What he's gonna do is keep the wrist angle exactly as it is, and he's gonna depress that muzzle just an inch or two without changing wrist angle, right? Without doing that. So if this is him pointing the gun and lining his sights up exactly, the wrists are not gonna change at all. He's just gonna depress that muzzle a little bit so he can look over top of his gun. But the entire time that he's pieing, right now, he can manage his sight alignment. He can keep those sights aligned so that if he needs to take a shot, that gun just comes up a half an inch or an inch and he can pull that trigger, okay? So now, as Sue starts working this door, you'll see that his arms will just collapse when they need to, and that muzzle is gonna start getting closer to the door because it has to, right? His muzzle has to be closer to the door for him to be able to go through that door, all right? So start pieing, he's gonna bend his knee, he's gonna make sure to keep his lead foot's toe pointed inside of this doorway, okay? Inside meaning in the wall, not pointed into the room. All right, so squeeze with your knee, knee. All right, so lean in, lean in, lean in, lean in. He's making sure to keep that muzzle pointed exactly beyond this event horizon. He's gonna take his next step, or if you see a target, go ahead and engage. Good, and now that gun is gonna get depressed again from the shoulders, not from the wrists. Sorry, Sue, I didn't mean to hit you in the mouth. And then he's gonna keep pieing. Every step of the way, those elbows are gonna collapse more and more and more so that he can eventually fit through the door. So just go ahead and keep going. When you see a target, engage it. Good, and keep going. Good follow through. Keep going. Keep going. This way. There you go. All the way to the 180. Good, and into that room. Start compressing. Compress as you go. Compress. Good. Compress. Take a shot. Good. Keep compressing as you go. Compress, compress, compress. Pull that gun out of the room. There you go. Compress. Compress. You're in the room. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna work the opposite side of the door from where Sue just worked. This comes with a couple of problems, right? We had Sue working his strong hand side. So when I refer to a zig left, right, it's that left side, the left side of the doorway that we're working, right? Zig, think zigzag, right? And so it's a zig left because I'm turning towards my left, okay? As a right-handed shooter, that makes everything easy in the sense that my body mechanics lend themselves well to rounding that corner with my strong arm being the hand that's holding the gun. I don't believe in changing hands every time you go in a different direction. I think it's really silly. You'll see paintballers and airsofters or whatever do it. Cool, okay. It's important to know how to use both hands on your gun. But in my experience, and I don't know, Sue, you tell me if you agree with this too, but never in combat, ever, have I switched hands going from doorway to doorway, right? Sue's shaking his head no. I know for a fact because we've had tons of conversations. Carl doesn't do it, nor any of my other experienced friends. So what I do, however, is when I work this side, there are two main things I have to change, okay? With a rifle, there's a few more things. With a pistol, there are two things I have to change. One is I have a messed up wrist, okay? My left wrist has had tons of surgeries, bone transplants, all that garbage. I got hardware in there. So what that means is this wrist doesn't move much. So I actually have to change my grip from my normal grip here. I go back to the Israeli grip that I grew up shooting. And the reason is bringing this wrist back a little bit. I got my watch pushed up so you can see the motion of the wrist. Bringing this wrist back, okay, has a more neutral angle on my control hand wrist, and that enables me to compress that gun comfortably. So that's the first very important change for me personally, and you guys can play with it. If any of you are interested in learning how to shoot with that grip, we can discuss that. But that's not our point for today. The second thing we have to change in order to maximize my concealment behind this piece of concealment, or cover, as the case may be, is I'm gonna switch to my non-dominant eye, right? So if you think about this, if I'm aiming with my right eye, and I have a barricade here, okay, and I'm aiming with my right eye, I need to expose my muzzle and my aiming eye, and then whatever's outside on that side of my aiming eye, okay? But if my cover is here, okay, I still have to expose my muzzle, I still have to expose an aiming eye, but if I'm using that same eye, I now have to expose both of my eyes, and I'm giving more of that precious T-box than I really want to give to somebody in there, right? Because what we're doing here in one-man room clearing, the main principle that I run this set of tactics around is your job is to expose as much of that room, as much of that dead space to your muzzle and your aiming eye while exposing the least of yourself to that dead space. Okay, I'll say it one more time. My job in CQB, in one-man CQB, is to expose as much of that dead space to my muzzle and my aiming eye while exposing the least of my body to that dead space, okay? So what I'm gonna do when I'm, as a right-handed, right eye dominant shooter, I'm not changing hands, but I am gonna change my eye that I aim with, okay? So let's see how that's done. All right, so gun comes out. Right now, I'm digging the opposite corner. Don't ever forget to dig that opposite corner because I'm gonna start paying more attention to the other side. I am lining my sights up now just outside of the edge of this doorway. Okay, I'm gonna change my grip. I change my dominant eye, and I'm pieing. And pieing, I'm looking right over top of this gun, okay, but I'm keeping those wrists stiffened, and I pie some more. Pie, there's a target, 1, 2, and I pie some more. There's a target, 1, 2. Keep working, look around you. Okay, don't get locked in. You see how these arms are compressing? This elbow is staying in. This elbow can be wherever it needs to be comfortable. Oh, there's a target, 1, 2. Last step, 1, 2, and I'm out. Let's do it one more time. All right, I'm gonna take my gun out and dig that opposite corner, come up, set my feet, and start pieing. I've already switched to my left eye. I'm pieing. Oh, there's one. There's one. And last step, oh shit, there's a guy. Whoop. Guys, that's shooting from the CQB compressed. I recommend that you don't just jump into all of this stuff. My initial intent was essentially to show just that drill that Sue showed in the beginning, but it's very important for me to show you why we do it and where it gets to and the reason for everything. There's one more thing that I want to show. I'm going to bring Sue back in, and there's one more thing I want to show in terms of switching eyes. All right, so the last thing I want to address, guys, is the whole idea with changing eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Sue just stand here in his regular stance, okay? And once you have your ear pro on and all that stuff and you're ready and your pecs are all stretched out, all right, all he's going to do is I'm going to show you this cute little exercise. We are going to switch hands now, okay? But the reason is to relax the brain into letting that left hand, that left eye work, okay? So go ahead and draw your weapon, Sue, and you're going to one-handed shoot, okay? You're going to shoot with one hand, just strong hand, strong eye, okay? You're going to take a couple shots, switch hands, and then switch eye, okay? So this is an exercise I like to do. Go ahead. Okay, switch hands and switch eyes. You see how Sue's canting the gun a little bit? That's pretty good for that one-handed shooting. Good, switch eyes, switch hands. Good, switch one more time. And a couple of shots. 1, 2, safe and holster. All right, so the reason we're doing it one-handed and switching eyes, and the reason I like to start that way, it's not because of reps with your offhand, which is a good thing, right? We should all learn how to shoot with our support hand as well. But the reason is I'm trying to keep it simple for the brain to start understanding how to switch sides in terms of your aiming eye, not so much your hand. What we're gonna do now is a similar thing, except now you're gonna shoot two-handed, okay? And you're gonna shoot strong eye, weak eye, strong eye, weak eye, couple shots each, nice and slow, okay? The tip here is you're not gonna turn your head, you're gonna turn your head a tiny bit, okay, and shift your gun a tiny bit. All right, go ahead. So a couple shots with a dominant eye, go ahead. Okay, and then switch eyes. Good, you see he didn't move his head that much, he just shifted the gun a little bit, go ahead. And switch eyes. And switch eyes. And safe and holster. Guys, that about sums it, right? That's why we shoot from that CQB compressed. That's why it's important, right? It's so that we can make our way around this doorway and pie our way into this door because we're about to enter. So we have to get close to the door, guys. For all of you guys thinking, you know, oh, you're crowding the cover, you don't want to be close to the door. Yeah, okay, but then you're not going into the door, right? My purpose is to go into this door. I got to get close to it. I don't have a choice. If you just come in and run into this door, trust me, we've done a lot of training and experiments with this, and you will lose every time. You will lose unless that guy doesn't have a gun. So that's that. As you get closer, you compress those arms, and that's going to allow you to pie properly all the way into that room while keeping yourself as concealed as possible. So, yep, guys, thanks for watching. It's been fun hanging out with you, and we'll see you next week.
If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.